Well, we're on to the second half of this morning's edition of News and Views right here on Salam Media. And still to come on the show, we're talking about the inaugural process in Liberia, the outcome of the elections. We're also taking a look at inflation in South Africa, lowest level in months, averaging 6% in 2023. And towards the end of the broadcast, we will be talking about journalists who have been killed in Gaza, a vigil in solidarity with the journalists of Gaza. But right now, we're going across to be joined by Liberian journalists. We're talking with Kendra Angel Queia and just taking a look at the Liberian elections and its outcome. Kendra, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be on here.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of interest on your part taking a look at the elections in Liberia that have were concluded in November, and we've learned about the new president Joseph Boakai, who was sworn in office on Monday. Now we know age shouldn't be an issue, but there seems to be some talk about a 79-year-old who's now become the country's oldest president. Kendra.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm hearing you.
Yes, I'm saying that, there seems to be some talk with regard to at the age of 79 now, the country's oldest president, and also at the same time, we know that there was a ceremony that was held. It ended abruptly because they said that he actually showed signs of physical distress.
Yeah. During the inaugural process on Monday, remember there are so many people gathered, and right now, as we speak, it's summer in Liberia, and Liberia's summer is not like the summer in Johannesburg, so it's a bit hot, extremely hot now in Liberia. So the heat is so much at the moment, and he was wearing something we call our country cloth, like our traditional attire. And remember, underneath that, he also had a bulletproof jacket. So I think the heat was too much for him, and it was just some physical unrest, but it wasn't something so major because in few minutes he was able to come back and not to the podium, but he was able to complete his speech. And for security reasons, they had to just take him away so that he does not further continue because the heat exhaustion that was what caused the abrupt ending of the speech. But it wasn't something so major relating to health. It was just because of the heat at that moment.
Yes. Now let's just talk about the outcome of the elections. What does it actually mean for the people of Liberia? The election of Joseph Boakai is the new leader and the new president to lead Liberia.
All right. When you have two parties against each other doing an electoral process, um, the incumbent president was still loved by his people, by his partisans, and by other people who still understand that they still want him to be around. But the majority of Liberians they wanted change. So they gravitated towards voting for Joseph Imambwaka. So the inaugural process was a bit intense, and people were in their feelings, their emotions here and there. They didn't want George we had to go. Other people wanted a new president. They wanted a new Liberia, and by the grace of God, Liberia went through that in the electoral process. There was no violence, there was nothing, and we had peace throughout. And right now, majority of Liberians are so happy that their votes counted. They're happy to see the person they wanted to become a president is actually a president now for the nation. And during his speech, he spoke a lot about bringing back Liberia because his slogan during the electoral process was rescue Liberia. So everybody's looking forward to that statement being implemented.
Yes. Now, clearly, some are actually witnessing and, analyzing the outcome of the elections, saying that, Mr. Bokai, taking over the reins of power from the nation's youngest ever elected leader. And we know George Weah was the leader. Now, this is obviously marks quite a generational shift. But at the end of the day, it is the people who have spoken. It is the people who
Yes.
have voted. It is the people who have voted him in. And I'm sure, coming against the background of the multiple problems that Liberia has faced on a number of fronts, and just taking a look at some of these challenges, what would some of the key challenges be that you think he will have to address immediately?
All right. Firstly, what I'm happy about is that he has some experience when it comes to the government stuff, because he was a vice president. He was a vice president. So it's not that he's a newbie to this thing. He understands. So the challenges now is, first of all, the country needs electricity. um we are off on that, so he's gonna come back to set these things straight. Electricity, running water, our roads need to be fixed. I mean, our hopes have been all over the place. We are so hopeful and looking forward to everything that they promised so that they can implement it for the Liberian people. There are so many things the country is behind on, like the job thing. Youth, they don't have proper jobs. People are struggling when it comes to the economy. Like people, like our youths are going to school, they are graduating and there are no jobs. They graduate from universities like every year, twice a year, maybe in June and in December, and you have this influx of people coming out of universities and there's no jobs. I mean, the country really needs help in every aspect. I don't even want to say when it comes to the education. Look at our health facilities, like our hospitals, our government hospitals, the private sectors. Like we need so many things to be done. It's not going to be an easy task for him. He has just entered something that he needs to put his feet down and really, really maneuver his way around to really help the Liberian people. We are so hopeful. We are looking forward to everything he promised us.
Yes, and also just taking a look at how in fact, George Weah actually responded, and his response in terms of his defeat, and gracious in his defeat. And we know that, this man was a global soccer legend. So he
Mm-hmm.
had a huge standing in the international community, concerning particularly his involvement on the soccer stage, on the world soccer stage. But very gracious in acknowledging that he had lost to someone better than him.
Yeah, I was so happy. Majority of Liberians were so happy. We were extremely happy because, like I said earlier, the electoral process was very intense. Like there were so many threats here and there from partisans against each other. Some people didn't want to accept the result. I was so excited when he came out and gracefully accepted his defeat. That showed like he's a man of peace. I mean, like it meant so much to the nation, because if he did not do these things, like if he did not come forward to accept the result, like people behind him, they were already geared up to not accept to not accept the results. But him being the incumbent president at that time came out to the public and accepted the result. It just shut down everything, every violence that wanted to come out, anything the partisans wanted to do. I mean, he just shut it down. Even after the elections were over, when the days leading to the inaugurations, I mean, he was so peaceful, transitioning from moving from where he was at the moment, giving out certain influence and power to other people. I mean, the whole process was so peaceful. Like we were so excited to see that, because if he did not do that as a president at that time, it was going to be very chaotic in Liberia. He really set the stage for peace, which we applaud him for.
Yes, and you're talking of chaotic in Liberia, and this is a country that cannot afford chaos
At all.
anymore. We know that Liberia obviously struggled. It struggled from two civil wars, more than 250,000 people that were killed around. I think it was 1989, right, for the
Exactly.
next few years as well. And also at the same time, when one looks at how the country was hit by Ebola, all these challenges that this country has faced, and again, this is a country that cannot afford to be
At
in
all.
another chaotic situation.
At all. I mean, like our economy, though it's not at a peak yet, it's not where we want it to be. Liberians are not at a position where we can boldly say we are enjoying life, or we enjoy our salaries. I mean, our salaries come in here and there, but we are at peace. When you have peace, you can thrive through every circumstances. So we were so scared, like coming back from a very, very low life kind of thing to this point that we've struggled so much to get here, for somebody to come and tamper with it again and take us back, like a country that is still fighting to come out of that place it was before, cannot afford to go through any more war, any more destruction. Like people just started building nice houses, government infrastructures, buildings, like nice stuff, construction of the roads and everything. And how now can somebody come and inflicting upon us again. We were so scared. It was hectic. Like I said earlier, people really loved George Weah. They really love the man. The man is loved by certain individuals. Yet there are people who feel like it was time for him to exit power. So they push forward. So it was very tense between the two parties. But we are grateful that nothing happened and our peace was maintained.
Yes, and just finally, I need your thoughts in terms of how this outcome and the new president, in terms of being received on the African continent, the AU in particular, and just Africa in general, responding to the election of the new president.
Oh, I'm so happy because during the inaugural process, the whole ceremony, we had so many dignitaries there. We had dignitaries from Japan. We had the Ghanaian president. We had Julius Malema. He was there. He went for our inaugural ceremony, which was so good. There were so many dignitaries at that ceremony, which was so. It was like a breath of fresh air. Like Liberians would say, it's a new dawn. It's a new Liberia. And the speech the president gave, it really struck me. I was so happy. Like, he knows what he's about to do. He just needs to have people behind him, in front of him, by his side, to help him implement these things, so that in the next year or 2 years, because his term is for 6 years, in the next year or 2 years, we can say, okay, we are moving somewhere. We really want to see change. We don't want people who just come and speak and speak and speak. But we are hoping that, as the term for the election was to rescue Liberia, he's actually here to do so. Our hope has been raised again. We are hoping and looking forward. Like, he's already met with the Ghanaian president a day after his inauguration. He also met with the diplomats from Japan. I mean, there are some things coming in here. He has already also put into power a few people, the home affairs, not home affairs, foreign affairs. Look at me using Johannesburg term. The foreign affairs ministers he has appointed, the police minister he has nominated. I mean, he's putting people into offices that he thinks is gonna do the job. So we're just watching at this moment. People are being getting into power. We're just waiting to see what is going to happen. We're giving it time, but we are hopeful that he knows what he's doing, because he's been a vice president for a very long time, and he really has a lot of job to do. No pressure, but we really want a new Liberia.
Well, I can see the excitement in your voice as you speak, Kendra, and the point you make, that you as good as the people you're surrounded by, and that is important. That is absolutely critical. It's crucial that you are surrounded by the right people, because it's not about one person. It's not only about the president himself. It's about an entire government and the people that support you. And I'm sure that there are many that he has chosen, and he has chosen quite well in terms of who he is going to be surrounded by and who is going to take him through this presidential journey. But for now, we thank you, Kendra. Thank you for your time this morning. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It was a nice time. Thank you.
Kendra Angel Queia joining us this morning, a Liberian journalist, and just taking a look at the inaugural process in Liberia and the outcome of the Liberian election. Now that the new president has been elected, the time is just gone 9:32. We come back. We'll be taking a look at inflation in South Africa.